Talk to Animals. My name is Shannon Kutz, animal intuitive and sensitive Reiki master practitioner here at animallovelanguages.com. If you just heard a plaintive chirp, that's my afternoon sleepy avian, Pearl Cutz, my 23-year-old feathered sidekick. I promised him he only had to stay awake for the intro. Here today on season 3 of Let's Talk to Animals, where we're really starting to dive into the elephant in the room, so to speak, the what's next, what happens after the animal shares what they want, what they need, what's going on in their life. And to help me unpack that today, I have brought on beautiful Guliz Unlu of Equuarius from Canada, yes?
Yep.
Yeah. Here up in Canada. I just watched a video of you in the snow with a crossbow, and while it wasn't officially on the agenda, I was most intrigued. So it was so interesting. And you have a matchy for those of us who are, if you are watching the video version on YouTube, we've just discovered that Mr. Pearl over here, Mr. Gray and White Pearl, has a little matchy up there in the far north of North America. Yeah, so if you're not watching the video version, you'll want to go and check it out, right? Do you have a feline twin flame? That doesn't happen every day, does it? Mwah. So welcome. You told me that your nickname is Lizzie, and that's beautiful. I love that. And that you, like myself, have a wonderful, colorful, and much varied interspecies family. So, yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. It's just, I think right now people are so craving community and like mind and like the conversations. Our words and our communication expand us, and I think that's why the animals are coming through right now so strong, is as we're learning about ourselves and learning a new language or remembering a language, it's helping our evolution, because we can't do it without them.
No, and we all, like it or not, really anchored to it or not, in our busy, exceedingly busy everyday lives, we all rely on the same planet to meet our needs. And wouldn't it be cool if we could save it and restore it and nourish it together?
Yeah.
As well as learn to peacefully coexist on it and in it. So I always like, even though we're kind of looking ahead in season 3 to the bigger picture of where animal communication fits in, I always like to invite our guests to just take us back to the beginning. You have such an amazing story, a really interesting story. I feel a very unique story. And even the name of your intuitive business, if you will, your intuitive offerings, is very carefully curated and infused, I feel like, with what makes this work so meaningful to you. And I would love it if you would just share a little bit about your story and your journey with us.
Okay. All in in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Not very much time. And this work, as always, I do a lot of group session offerings, and I'll always do like a 60-minute, but I mean, it always goes way longer, and that's fine because that's my passion. So I am an only child. I was born under the Aquarius astrological sign, and I've always had a love of horses. I have a Mongolian, I'm from Turkey, so I've got Mongolian Tatar blood. And so I feel like horses have always spoken through my blood and through me. I've tried to get away from them, and they find me all the time.
They're really good about that.
Yeah. Right? And as any empath or any child, I wasn't lacking love. I had a really, even though it was a broken family, I never felt I was okay. But the animals, they were, I think they're why we love animals in the first place, is because we can relate to them. They don't judge us. They see us. The forgiveness is beyond. I just went through that with I got two livestock guardian dog puppies right now, and they have been the biggest challenge currently in my life. And the forgiveness for losing my temper is beyond, like, I can't even. So, and I think as humans, that's what we need. That's what we want.
Yeah.
So my background is showing, jumping, training horses. And then I got into equine bow and therapy, which brought me to this work. I didn't want it. I had no idea there was animal communicators. I wasn't even thinking about it. But what was happening was, as I was working on and with a horse, our hands, heart energy centers, we have heart chakras, so we feel everything. And so I put my hands on a horse and I would start to get these bits and pieces of story and information. And I wanted to convey to the guardian, the human, who, whether they own or the legal guardian or just the rider. And I found that they wouldn't listen to a human. So I started to kind of morph the story a little bit of like, okay, well, your horse is saying this. And then I started to see a shift. I don't do that anymore because of my now work going into more of the quantum field around animal communication. And like you talk about the bigger picture. I don't feel that's my role to say what the animal's saying, but they're a reflection of what we are. So in the quantum field, this is my belief system and what I've seen, that animal is a part of me. There is no other. We are one. And so if the animal is saying, or I'm perceiving a word or a frequency, that animal is just reflecting back what's in me. And that's why people love to be around animals, and especially horses, because of their heart field. We are automatically blown open. Our hearts are just magnetically, we're attracted, and we also attract that frequency when we're with them. So that's a bit of my history. I've been studying as a mentor. I've worked with my mentor, Lucia Jacob, for almost 7 years now. I believe we all need a mentor in this. We need someone to kick our ass, because in this work, ego can be very strong. And when ego is involved, we can't hear. So that's my story.
It is challenging. It's challenging, and I deeply, deeply resonate with what you share about needing a mentor. I've always believed in this. I've always, and it's not a belief that's a mental construct. It's a belief based on tangible life experience of having these fortuitous intersections with these very powerful, wise, and very unconditionally loving human animals who've been able to see into me and speak into my life a bigger picture awareness of who I am than what I could perceive at the time. My first mentor, she said to me, this was long before, you and I, it feels like we've come to intuitive animal communication maybe a little later in life. However, the foundation, the building blocks of it all feels like started quite early in just our general awareness, our way of being in the world, a natural high sensitivity to the energy and the emotion, the what's seen but not always seen, if that makes sense. And so I remember my very first mentor sharing, she's like, I don't, at that time I was seriously struggling with an eating disorder. And she said, I don't really understand too much about exactly the mechanics of what you're struggling with, but I can see you in there struggling. And I can also see beyond that to your strength. She said, I've struggled through things. I've overcome challenges. And if I could do it, you can do it. And I want to support you. And it was like, so my whole life has been shaped by mentors and mentoring. And it feels like we don't have to get very far down that road before we realize that we're never too compromised or broken to have something to offer. Some place where we're strong, where we can help someone else to overcome something they're going through. And we're never too strong. I love what you share about ego. We're never too strong. We're never too healed. We're never too healthy. We're never too wise and aware to still need and have, places that a little tweak or maybe a big tweak that we can go through. And that's so impactful and important. It feels like what you're sharing is, the love for the animals and the feeling of being able to receive love from the animals is so overwhelming. And that to me has been a huge component in breaking apart some of my inability or unwillingness to engage in proper self-care. And I loved what you shared in in the video about learning to shoot. I'm from Texas, yes, we own guns. Yes, we know how to shoot them. I'm not an expert, but if you're over the predators over there in a general direction, I at least know how to do the thing. And it's like, but it's also about that left and right brain balance that you were talking about. It's like, yeah, there's the spirit side, but there's also the earthly physical side, the balancing work to keep ourselves sane and grounded. And, one of the things that really stuck out for me about your website and your work, and we talked about this just briefly before pressing record, is the introduction of body talk into the work that you do with animals. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more. I've had a lot of personal success, a lot of great experiences with it, but you are trained, you are a trained practitioner. I would love for you to share more with our listeners and our viewers about what is body talk, how does it complement intuitive animal communication and interspecies communication, the work that you do.
Well, you just kind of skimmed over the surface about the left and right brain, right? And before even animal communication or whatever, translator or whatever we want to call it, I like to call myself an animal connection guide now.
Love it. I love it.
My passion right now is, yes, I love working with people and their dogs and their cats and their birds and bunnies and hedgehogs or whatever. But right now I'm getting a lot of horsey people asking for, how can I strengthen, or how can I have a deeper relationship with my horse? So that's what I'm going into. But going back to body talk, I met my mentor 7 years ago. I didn't know she was teaching also the intuitive stuff. She has something called Linking Awareness Journey or Linking Awareness Adventures, which I am also a facilitator of. So body talk was very left brain. Like the concept or the theory is you get as much in your left brain as you can. Knowledge, study the anatomy, there's modules, and there's like Chinese medicine module, there's family matrix modules, there's astrology modules. So you can kind of get into all of it by the left brain. And then we learn to throw it away, and then we bring in the intuition. So that's the right brain, that's the feminine, that's the flow, that's the non-rigidity. And so we brought that in, and then it changed everything. And that's why I feel like if we do want to do this work, like you said, we have to bring it into physical. Like, we have incarnated in physical form. Our animals, or the sentient beings, are in physical form, and they too have their journey and purpose on this plane. So that's in a nutshell of my journey with body talk. And I've morphed it. I don't pay my dues every year, so I still incorporate it with my work. I'm a pranayama breathwork teacher, so I incorporate breathwork in my work as well. But you can't know too much with the left brain if we can let it go and not be stuck on it. I work with some vets who wish that they didn't know so much. It's like, I've got an old fella dog. He's 11, and I've seen his x-rays. I'm obsessed with bones and x-rays. And my biggest challenge is to not project what I've seen in that x-ray and keep him stuck in that hologram. So how can we see that left brain stuff, know the diagnosis from the vet, and then be like, okay, that's great, but how about if we're co-creating this new earth, if we're co-creating this space of miracles, how can we overlay a healthy hologram? I just got goosebumps over that if this is, again, if this is that animal or that sentient being's journey, maybe my dog, Sai, maybe his journey is to have those hips right now. And that's fine. It's hard. I would like it to not happen. You know, it's hard to watch, but it's called non-attached compassion. And I think as animal communicators, anyone in this world who we're in it because we deeply, deeply care and we want to help. And so how do we let go of that want and desire because we can't actually access their potential, their story, their purpose with our own projections and our own agendas? So back to the left brain, learn it, know the anatomy, study it, and then can you let it go? And then can we work with the right brain and bring in those suggestions or the possibility for change?
I love this. So I was getting goosebumps as well. It's, you know, we need the structure. We need the why advance as a civilization if we, you know, disregard the sacrifices that have been made and the brilliance that's been unlocked. I mean, it takes courage to be an Einstein or a Jill Bolte Taylor or your mentor or, you know, any of those wise spirits that we look up to who have created the vets who, yes, know too much and yet are also aware of their limitations. It's like, let's make use of all of these beautiful gifts and then let's contribute. I love how you say you've morphed it. It's like, well, we're, you know, I feel like as empaths, as intuitives, we come because we do have an energy to share in the world. And we have the ability to set intentions, to create the best picture, the best, brightest, big picture for ourselves and for those we love.
Yeah.
And so I, you know, we're dealing with something with my mom's dog right now, where it's just this mystery thing, and it's kind of all over the place. And at some point, I feel mine. I've brought in colleagues of mine to work. He's had lots of different stuff going on. We've tried lots of different things, and at some point, I just have to let all that fall away and just re-anchor to the bigger picture of we're looking for quality of life, we're looking for joy, we're looking for calm, we're looking for enjoyment of the day-to-day, of the minute-to-minute. And so when, you know, taking a step back and looking at, you know, because often I feel like we're the biggest blocks, if you will, or just where there's a lot of applying the brakes going on is with that animal's human. And so, you know, you work with both non-human animals and you work with human animals, and it feels like you work with the relationship and with the bond, but also, correct me if I'm wrong, separately, if that seems to be the right path. And how do you help the human in the mix kind of shift their focus towards what we're talking about here? To kind of envision the bigger, better, brighter picture for their animal when they're in this moment of crisis. And all they can hear is maybe what a well-meaning vet said to them, or they see the suffering animal right in front of them, and they're kind of paralyzed by that. You know, where the animal can only, you know, where there feels like there's constriction there, and we have to move. We have to shift that energy so that we can see past a moment of crisis into, well, really what's possible. So I'm just curious to get your take on that.
Well, again, because I think by nature to being an Aquarius, and hence my business name Aquarius. We're in the age of Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the expansion of it. I do have a really natural gift of seeing the bigger picture. I just know it. I just know that I see the reflection, and I've been able to really hone in on the science, I guess the law of there is no other. Like that animal is a part of us, and it's a reflection. And so that's why I work with humans and their animals, because when I work with the human, I observe change in them, and then the animal shifts because they shift. So, you know, some of us are here for, how do I say it without sounding really harsh? Our souls have chosen to come here to really learn a big lesson, and sometimes our animals are here for that. And so they don't care what we're going through. They are here for us no matter what. They will take on our shit. They will, and that's fine. And some of our animals are here to help us get to see who we really are, if we're ready for it, like you were talking about before. But this is, we're talking about what do you do with that information after we get shared? You know, what the animal is sharing with us. What do we do with it? Well, take a look at yourself first. Why is it resonating? Why is that story coming up through you? It's a mirror. And it's not, I'm not saying every story with animals is a mirror, because they all have their own purpose and their own story to live. But it is possible that there are more mirrors than there is not. And they are just a reflection of us. And can we, again, put that ego aside and stop trying to fix everything, stop trying to fix the animal, when really it's a hard look at ourselves. My journey with the animal kingdom has been the most incredible soul, harsh, you know, walk, looking at who I am, what I love about myself, what I don't like about myself. And I ask them to help me. And right now, quite honestly, I'll be completely transparent, and it's anger. If people follow human design, I'm a manifester, and anger is a part of how we process. And so that's the first thing. So that's what I'm seeing and choosing. Like you said, it's an intent. So my intent in this life right now is to have my animals help me transform or alchemize anger. And I know it's collective. It's not just mine. So
it's profound. It's profound. There's so many different levels through which we can interact with the animal, with the human animal, non-human animal bond.
Yeah.
And that's why I also feel, I mean, a big push and a focus for this podcast, which I had no particular designs to start a podcast. And then one day I was meditating and I heard, let's talk to animals. And I went around and looked and decided, you know, well, I'm sure there's probably something out there like this. And no, there wasn't. And so here we are. And this was very early in my own journey of packing the left brain, as you said, with the nuts and bolts of how to set it all up and how to, you know, maximize my time, so to speak, and help in a productive and focused way. And a big part of that has unfolded into, this is a Rolodex that, I mean, to be kind of blunt about it, of other professionals doing complementary work in so many modalities. And it's offering me a way to learn and to refer, because sometimes an animal crosses my path and they tell me that they need something and I don't have that in my toolkit.
Yeah.
I'm not about to stop, drop, and 5 years later I've added it. No, that animal needs help right now.
Yeah.
And I know exactly where to route them. And I feel like that's a big part of when I've got my animal communicator hat on, it's like, I want to know about you.
Yeah.
I want to know about each one of the guests that I've had on this show. And I want to make your stories available to our listeners and our viewers, so that when they hear something that resonates with them and is a match for what they feel, because I just truly do believe, I mean, we may not all be called, if you will, or to master the art of interspecies communication, but we are all intuitive. And if something resonates, like if you're listening right now or you're watching right now and something about what we're talking about today resonates with you, just take that as a sign for what it is, for whatever it's worth, that perhaps you want to dig a little deeper. Perhaps there's something here that might help you, that might help your animal. And so we just plant the seeds in all of these different directions so that everyone has an opportunity to learn without spending hours and years sometimes of their life. I mean, we don't have to do it all. We don't have to wear all the hats.
No.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can try, but it's like, why? It's just like when we start learning animal communication, we learn the healing modalities, and we realize we have different bents, we have different strengths, we have different areas of interest. We work with different species. I mean, for me, it's always been birds. The first sight of wings, and I first fell in love with a helicopter, for God's sakes. I mean, it's like it was the wings, So I want, because, we do try to keep these short and sweet, because folks, 30, 45 minutes seems to be a good span of time. People can really enjoy a podcast and then not feel like they have to pick up next week when they've kind of lost the thread. But I definitely want to talk a little bit about how people can reach out to you, how they can work with you, what you'd recommend, especially if somebody is listening today. Maybe it sounds like you're doing a lot of work with horses and with equines and with their folks. But if they're listening today or watching today and it feels like, I do feel like maybe my animal is mirroring me, or I do feel like my animal is having their own experience and I don't really know how to help them, but I'm very aware that there's something going on. Where do we start? Yeah. If they want to reach out to you, what would you recommend?
Yeah, just back to the bird thing. I am completely and absolutely obsessed with chickens. I
love them.
Everyone needs to get a freaking chicken or two. I swear, I don't know. And nobody warned me when I got my first chickens. Nobody said. And then I started looking on, like, Googling stuff about chickens, and they're like, just so you know, they're a little bit addictive and they're amazing. So I'm with you on the birds.
They're wonderful. Chicken people. Have you seen Chicken People?
No.
You will like it. Yes, okay. You will.
Oh my God.
Yeah, look it up. It's a thing.
Crazy. Yeah, my chickens are my
or it might scare you, but it's a very interesting glimpse into the lives of the chicken obsessed. That's all I'll say.
It's a thing, I swear.
It's a thing.
Yeah. I did just today, I don't know when this is going out, but I did just launch a week, I guess a few days of sessions by donation. So minimum $60 for a session, because I feel like I have to explain myself, because I have had people criticize or judge on these offerings, that it's not coming from a place of integrity. But the last about 4 months of my life have been really a challenge. And I've had strangers come up out of nowhere and help, and they don't want anything in return. So because the universe is all energy and reciprocity, I'm offering a by donation minimum $60 for an hour session with me. So, if people have watched this and this goes on after, just say that you watch this and I will honor it. You can go to my website at Aquarius.com. I'm still old school. You can't book it there, but you can definitely email me and I'll honor that. Just let me know that you saw me here. I'm working on a breathwork for riders program, and that I do also have some offerings on Insight Timer that I'm slowly working on. Some
very neat.
Yeah, just some guided meditations they're very short meditations that people can start practicing with. I've only got 2 on there right now, but I've got 1 in front of me that I'm working on. So it's a process.
Yes.
And I do have something called Nature Mind, and that's a program that I'm also refurbishing right now to make it more accessible, because it was quite pricey before, and I want to make it more accessible to more people, more of like a membership thing, so we can connect weekly, more of a mentorship rather than a program, because I feel like that's how we learn, right? So
yes, mentorship is the thing. It's the thing.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
It's what I want to do. So it's like anything. If it's your passion, And that's, you know, again, if you're just starting out with this and we all have doubts. I still, just today, I was sitting on my step having my gross coffee. I could not make a good coffee today. And
that is very important. Yes, it is.
But I'm doing okay. I'm going to go ride my horse after. But the doubt, today I was like, I just want to go and be a barista. Like, this is really a challenge because we really have to navigate our own shit in order to really show up for other people and their sentient beings. Like, that's a role that I don't take lightly, a hat that I don't take lightly. Yeah. And so I just really get scared. So fear is a normal thing. I get afraid if I'm scared that I can't show up for people. But then I see that as my shadow. And
absolutely.
Right? But the animals they need us and we need them in this time of awakening and waking the
absolutely. Absolutely. And really recognizing that showing up is in itself such a high, pure intention. Yeah. If we show up imperfectly, the point is we showed up.
Yeah.
Truly, the point is that we showed up. And I so adore that you incorporate breath work. It's become increasingly important to me as well. I'm actually releasing a series right now on some of my favorite breath work practices just to support my students and just to, it's not that you can't, but it's just like, because I'm anchoring back more and more to the fact that when my cells are gasping for oxygen, they're not going to be particularly inclined to support me in anything I want to do if I've forgotten to breathe. And it's like, so at its root of all of this, coming back to, oh, that's right, I need the reminder. Yeah, I'm going to show up and I'm going to share what I have to offer and what matters to me with others. But at the root of it, I need the reminder not to hold my breath, and even if someone's listening or watching right now, maybe your animal's in crisis right now, or maybe you're in crisis right now. One of the most powerful things that the breath, one of the most powerful gifts the breath has ever given me is it's like if I sit with my animal and I just try to synchronize our breathing. It's like, you don't need to be a trained intuitive. You don't need to be a trained energy worker in order to entrain with a being who's suffering and offer your silent, loving support.
It's just presence, right?
It's just presence.
And we are so monkey-minded busy, and that's all they want.
It's just our presence.
Yeah. And our breath brings
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I've so adored talking with you. Thank you so much for making the time. And I love the image of you breezing out after this conversation and going to enjoy time with your horses. I just love that.
I've just discovered that I don't actually have to, because I have two very chunky horses. They're work horses, so they're very easy keepers. And I don't like to put a halter in like pony. It's called ponying, where you ride one and you halter and you lead the other. So I'm like, screw this. I'm just going to ride. They're bonded. So I don't even need to, they just follow. So whoever I'm riding, the other will follow. So I get to exercise all of my 4 dogs and my 2 horses all at once right now. And I'm just thrilled. You can follow. I'm sharing a little bit more. I'm one of those people that when I'm going through change, I like to hide a little bit, and I'm getting encouraged by myself because it scares the shit out of me to share more. So you can follow me and our little stories on Instagram.
I just hunted you down on Instagram. It wasn't hard. Go to your website. It's, by the way, and I'll print this, but it's EQUUARIUS.com. Am I correct?
That's right.
Yeah. So I will put that in the show notes, because if you type in just regular old Aquarius.com, which is probably what it sounds like we're saying, that's not enough. So I'll definitely just go to the show notes. But I love that, and it's like, again, that's just when we bring our actual presence, we're not bringing our, our electronic pets in with us. We're just noticing what's really going on right in front of our eyes. And you here you are, and you're like, wow, they just all follow each other. They like being together. you know, and
as animals,
yeah.
We can't gain trust from them if we don't trust them. So that'll be my final little piece of a gem to gift people, is trust your animals, give them a chance to show you how incredibly intelligent and wise they are.
I love that.
If we have the fear attached to them, we're missing the point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love how, because you work with both humans and animals, I would also add to that, take a look at how well you trust yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because we only can try. My own personal experience is like, if I don't trust myself, I'm gonna have a really hard time trusting anyone, even the high pure spirit of my animals. Yeah, isn't that right, Pearl? Do you want to come out for the outro? He wants neck feathers. That's what he wants. He said, now I'm ready for neck feathers. I've had my contractually stipulated nap, and now I want neck feathers on camera. Thank you very much. This is one animal who's not camera shy. Yeah. Mwah. So I encourage, if you're listening, if you're watching today and you have enjoyed this conversation, please do head over to Aquarius.com, EQUUARIUS.com. And it sounds like there's a lot of really neat stuff that's going to be coming through your website, coming through your Instagram, and some wonderfully giving offerings that allow you to connect with others who are wanting to experience the flow of abundance.
Yeah.
What a beautiful gift. And of course, if you want to reconnect with, for instance, let's say you're watching this and you want to find the podcast, or you're listening and you want to see the gray and white cuteness over on YouTube, you can find the links by going to animallovelanguages.com/podcast. You can find all of our archived episodes, and you can find the links to each one of our guests so you can enjoy the wonderful work they do personally. And now we're going to have an outro meet and greet. You'll have to tell me when the name comes to you for your gray and white baby. I would love to know. Yeah, for 11 years, we thought Mr. Pearl was a girl bird, and I think that explains everything pretty well. So, but I can't believe how matchy they are. They're just wonderful. They're just wonderful. Oh, thank you so much for being a part.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone out there who does watch this, for following your heart. It is, we need you so much right now.
We need you. We need you. We're grateful for you. And without you, it would just be us chatting, which would be great too, but we love that you're here. Yeah. All righty. All of our love. And bye for now.